When you started thinking about really quitting email,
Yeah.
what were the main influences, the core idea behind it?
The core idea, there were many factors, obviously, but the main one was the way I interacted with the younger generations.
Okay.
And I explain a little bit of that because sometimes it's difficult for people to understand. Summertime for me is the busiest time of the year, right? Because that's when college students are doing their PhDs. And there's plenty of interest in enterprise 2.0 and social computing and everything else. So when people go into Google and they start Google that stuff, my name comes up, right? So they approach me and they say, would you mind if you could coach me or give me advice or even do an interview and for this thesis that I'm doing or whatever, or tell me if I'm in the right direction or whatever else. So most of the times people will say, no, don't bother me. I'm too busy. You're here just for 3 months, and you can then go and do your own thing. So don't even ask me, right? I go the opposite way. I say, yes, by all means. Let's go and do it. You may have something really interesting to say, right? So I engage with them, and the number one thing that they tell me is, we use everything but email. We don't use email, right? So they say, okay. Obviously, that to me initially, this is something I've been doing now for 2-3 years, comes as a shock. Right? I said, how am I supposed to talk to these guys? Right?
Again, age.
Age, yes.
Again.
Yeah, it's you see, that's how I started the conversation. So one of the things that they said was, don't use it. Right? And I said, okay, well, what do you want me to use then? I said, well, we can use instant messaging. We live on instant messaging. Right? So I use Skype very heavily, right? And we go into conversations and we keep talking, right? And if we see that the conversation is going to last for more than 2-3 minutes, we pick up the phone and we talk on the phone, right? Because you're able to speak faster than type. That's a no-brainer. Internally, I use instant messaging as well quite heavily. It's actually my number one tool, right? For the immediacy, right? The immediacy, the real time, right here, right now. I need your help.
And it's Skype?
No, that's another one. That's another tool that we use. It's called SaveTime. That's a proprietary IBM product,
yes.
right? So I use, depending on whether the contact is external or internal, I use one or the other. Then they said to me, and I said, okay, what happens when I'm not online? And then they go, yeah, we can go ahead and use Facebook, or we can use Twitter, or we can use whatever the other social software tools. So I have got this umbrella of key tools that I use. And that's how I basically communicated with them. So over time, you realize that these people are actually doing work without using email. And they still get their PhDs with really good marks, and they get them out. So I said, well, if they're able to do that, I'm able to do this. So they were a little bit of the inspiration as well, of why I said, I want to prove the point to everyone that you can be productive in a working environment without using email, because these younger generations, that's how they work. And guess what? Those younger generations are starting to enter the workforce. From the perspective of saying, okay, I finished my PhD, I've got good marks, time to look for a job. The first place that they're going to look at is the place where these tools are accepted.
Do you really think this way?
They are. I feel passionate about that way.
Okay.
That's the way to work. It's one of the things that people don't seem to understand is that, well, I'm sort of, I'm being called digital nomad, I've been called digital immigrant or whatever, where the younger generations actually live these tools. Right? That's why I said back earlier on to me, social computing is not about tools, it's about a lifestyle. It's a living in a certain way, the things you live. Right? And that is the web environment. And when that happens, you see how these people are, they think much faster than we do. At least I do. And I take credit for that and whatever. Right? They're able to multitask, which we cannot. No matter what people tell us, we cannot multitask because we're not used to that. Or you're not used to it. I mean, I have got plenty of my colleagues who have got children, and they keep telling me that they go to their rooms and they see them watching TV, talking to 5 people on MSN, and then they do their homework, they listen to music, they're actually text messaging. I said,
and doing homework.
Right, and doing homework. Because it's part of their environment, right? And they keep telling me, yeah, I don't know how they do it. I said, well, I tell you how they do it. They multitask. Their brains are prepared for that because that's how they were born.
So in your point of view, there's really this next generation. It's not a buzzword. It's not digital native or something.
I mean, there are plenty of people who'd say, don't buy into the generational divide. I said, that's bullshit. there is a generational divide because these people are actually attached to the devices, right? I mean, when I was a young kid, I didn't have my mobile next to my bed. And I didn't get back in the morning to say, hello, good morning, I'm up. I didn't do that. It wasn't even coming through my mind. This is the first thing that people do, that these generations do, because they feel connected with the rest of the group, right? So they need to tell everyone they're up and running, they're available, right? We didn't have that. We didn't have that. On my generation, we didn't have that. So there is a generational difference. Now, one of the things that happens is that plenty of people say, yeah, but you have all these older generations who use these tools. That's fine. But it doesn't come natural to them. They are forced to use them because they feel they need to use them, because otherwise they will be left out. What I'm trying to say is that these other guys, they take them for granted. The younger generations take them for granted. To the point, and here's a big difference between the generations, is that if you take someone who is of a certain age, myself, right, and you take one of the younger generations, and we both go for the same job interview, right? If on that same job interview, we ask both the key question, can we use these tools? If the person on the other end says, no, you cannot use these tools, I will go probably, okay, well anyway, I can use them at home, so I can take a job. These younger generations, no. Say, if I cannot use these tools, I fuck off and I move somewhere else. I don't want to work in a company where I cannot bring in my friends. I'm not going to work with a company where it's not allowing me to make my private phone calls because I need to be connected at the same time that I'm doing my job.